It's episode 6 of the Toadstool Boardroom. I'm Logan Plant, joined today by Odell Harmon Jr.
Hey, everybody.
And he back from his ghost hunting adventures, Chris Schreiber.
Wow! That was my bad Luigi impression.
I heard you inherited a mansion over the last week,
and
we're exploring it.
Yeah, my brother got caught in a painting. Had to fight a baby. It was an interesting few days.
Did you randomly start laugh crying at the end when you saved your brother from the pain?
I did, yeah.
That's weird. What a weird ending to a game that would be. Okay, we got a great show coming up. Chris and I have been getting in some beef over the last few days. Both on social media, in our Discord, and right before this show. We've been going at it. So let's see if we are still going at it when we talk about the Splatoon 3 Switch OLED Special Edition. This was announced Wednesday morning. Tuesday, the internet was set on fire for the 103rd time with Switch Pro rumors. And let me tell you guys, I am beyond exhausted of talking about the Switch Pro. Odell's been sitting here the last 5 episodes saying, it's coming. These games look too good to be on the Switch. I've been sitting here saying, no, I don't think it's time yet. Chris has been sitting here stealing my ideas, posting them on social media.
For clarification, I didn't say they were coming soon.
You said this year. You said it was coming this year.
I did say this year, but that didn't mean I expected an announcement in July. I just want to clarify that.
He said, right? You said if it was going to happen, it was just going to be out of the blue. We were just going to all of a sudden one day we'd wake up and this thing would exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what happened was it kind of looked like maybe the seeds were being sown for that this week when Nintendo sets its Switch Lite announcement video and Switch OLED announcement video to private on their YouTube page. So essentially for viewers like us, they vanished from the channel. We can't watch them anymore. The original Switch one was still there. And so people make enormous mental leaps and say, this means Switch Pro. This just has to mean Switch Pro, right? They set 2 videos to private, so obviously the next-gen Switch is getting announced within the next 24 hours. And I'm over here saying, pump the brakes. That's not going to happen. I said if it's anything, it's going to be a Switch Lite OLED model at $250 was the horse I was riding, which you will have seen that take if you follow Chris on Twitter. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah. I didn't have anything funny. No, I mean, that was a totally original thought that I had. I didn't. You
didn't have anything funny? Are you waiting for me to say something funny so you can go tweet it?
I was.
Okay. But anyways, and then Wednesday morning rolls around. There is a new Switch announcement. But what is it? It is a Splatoon 3 Special Edition Switch OLED model. This is the first Special Edition SWOLED since the machine launched last October. It's coming out on August 26th, 2 weeks before Splatoon 3 on September 9th. And the design is rather interesting to me. So you got the white dock with kind of the Splatoon logos all over it, whether it's logos of some of the bands, just the iconography of Splatoon, and then a hideous yellow paint splotch, a singular yellow paint splotch on the bottom left of the dock, which I just think looks atrocious. And then the 2 Joy-Con, one of them is yellow and then it blurs into green, and then one of them is purple and it blurs into blue, and the colors of Splatoon 3 are yellow and purple. So it's weird to me that you have the green and the blue here too, because those aren't the colors they're going for in Splatoon 3. And then the back of the Joy-Con are white, when the squid is swimming around, the bottom of them is white. So that's the design. It costs $360 for this machine. There's also a Pro controller that has the yellow and purple handles, very similar to the Splatoon 2 Pro controller that we got back in 2017. And I think we're split on the design because, Odell, you were saying that you like how this thing looks.
Oh, yeah. So first off, let me just go ahead and say the only bad thing about this is possibly the dock. The dock is a B, maybe a B minus, but the Switch itself, fire. Joy-Cons, fire. Pro Control, fire. Wait, let me back that up. The back of the dock is actually A plus. The front of the dock, B minus.
D.
Everything else is best. If hop on Twitter, anybody right now, and see what people are saying. Everyone knows this is fire. I mean, Logan J. Plant, he's the Splatoon expert, so I get how maybe he's looking at the game fundamentally and being like, this doesn't represent Splatoon. And that could be true. But in terms of straight design, fire. 10 out of 10.
I think the dock is so disgusting. I hate that they went with the white dock for it, and then the yellow paint splotch on the white dock.
First of all, sir, that is a soft gray. I don't know where you're getting this white from.
What other color would you want it to be, Logan?
I don't want that splotch there. The dock?
Yeah.
The black of the other Switch OLED model. I think the white's a weird choice.
Have you seen?
I think it's all a weird choice.
Have you seen the white dock in person?
I own the white dock.
That baby's clean.
Yeah, it looks great. But with this special edition, I think it looks disgusting. I think it looks terrible. It looks like somebody peed on a white tile bathroom floor. There's a puddle of piss on the white tile bathroom floor. That's the Splatoon.
I was gonna say maybe a highlighter leaked. You know, maybe someone just like busted one. But I think you know what it is. And like this is how I know I'm getting old. Like I would never put this thing in my living room, nor would my wife allow me to. Like it is just. It's the logos and the designs and all that. What's a shame though is like I would totally buy the Joy-Con if they didn't have all the Splatoon artwork on it. But like I love a good gradient. I think the colors on it are really really cool. But yeah, I mean, the Splatoon vibe, at least Splatoon 3's vibe, it's just not. It's not for me. I'm past that point in my life, you know?
I think I am too. I think that's actually the main thing with it is like, I'm looking at the special edition. I just got my Switch OLED like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And so when I wake up this morning, I see the headline before I see the machine that says Splatoon OLED announced. I'm like, oh no, Splatoon's like one of my favorite series. I just got the OLED. And then I look at it, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm glad I passed on this.
But
it's a much cleaner look to just have the white.
Yeah, like I found as I've gotten older, like because I had like the Gears of War Xbox One S, that was like a red one. Like I've had all these like themed consoles like over the years, and now when I go back and look at a lot of them, I'm like, man, like that was such like a mismatch of stuff in my cabinet, and now everything is like black and white in my media cabinet, and I'm like, ooh, I feel like a rich man nerd. Like everything's so crisp.
I think I'm not there where y'all are. So this is my thing. Like the Animal Crossing Switch, I thought was lovely. I'm a sucker for pastel colors, so that was like beautiful.
Those are good colors.
Yeah, but it's like I'm at the point now where I need to be in love with the IP. Like if I genuinely love Splatoon, like if that was like one of my top Nintendo games, this would be an easy purchase for me. But it's not. It's like I'm just kind of cool with Splatoon. Now, if the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet one looks amazing, I mean, looks legit amazing. Not like it's passable because I like Pokemon. Like I'm gonna buy that.
It's gonna be a light, and you know it.
No,
it's gonna be light.
I've talked about this on Twitter because I already have the Sword and Shield light, so I'm like, I don't need a light. One, because I don't even play my Switch in handheld that often. But I'm like, give me the OLED model. I want to see Pokemon at its greatest, whatever vibrantness. But I'm hoping. Okay, no. How can Splatoon get one, but not Pokemon? That doesn't make sense to me.
Pokemon get the light. It just will. Hasn't every Pokemon game on Switch gotten a Switch Lite?
Or it'll get a Pro.
Or it can get a Pro.
Pro's not coming this year. I feel like I got to make like a steak dinner bet with one of you because I want to put this to bed. It's not coming this year.
Not, I don't think it's coming this year.
I will still say, again, I'm not saying it's going to come when we think it will. I just think at the very least, we will get the announcement this year. Maybe not the physical machine, but I bet we'll get the announcement. And it's going to happen when everyone's giving up on it, when that ship has sailed. Nintendo's going to be like, random Nintendo Direct, December 26th. Boom.
December 26th.
Yeah, I you heard it here first.
Nah, I think this is the last word I will say on this show about the Switch Pro until there's actual hardware news.
I don't believe
Super Nintendo Switch. I say we should call it that. I'm not a fan of Switch Pro. Sounds too late.
Yeah, I want it to be I just wanted to make the Switch 2 at this point. But anyways, I think the Switch OLED was supposed to be the Switch Pro. The global component shortage led them to kind of scale it back a little bit and just release what the OLED ended up being. and now they're not going to have a mid-step. They're just going to have the Switch 2 in 2024. That's it. That's what I think. I don't think we're getting it next year. I think there will be an OLED for Zelda in the spring or the fall if Zelda gets pushed from the spring, and I don't think we're seeing a new Switch hardware until 2024.
All right, I got a question for both of y'all.
Like, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of talking about this? Is anyone hate playing games on their Switch right now? I know Chris complains about Age of Calamity running at 2 FPS or whatever.
Yeah, true. It's garbage.
But besides that, does anyone feel the need for an upgrade right now? Is it just me that's perfectly satisfied with the level of technical games we're getting on Switch right now?
I am not getting into this with you right now.
Why?
There are games that I have just purchased that I had to do research to make sure that they would run well on the Switch before I bought them, because I have no confidence in the system anymore. As far as a pure performance standpoint, I just don't. Ronnie Barrier, IGN, and yourself, because you, I believe, have played this as well. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a game that is first-party Nintendo.
I have not played that.
Oh, well, apparently the resolution is all over the place, and it does not run well.
Came out in 2017.
And it doesn't,
a launch year game.
And it doesn't run well.
I'm not getting your point here. I'm not getting your point here.
We needed new hardware in 2017.
Okay. Well, we clearly didn't, because the Switch has sold over 100 million units.
No, I know.
I don't feel the need for it. I guess.
I feel like sales numbers doesn't mean anything. Look at the Wii. It's
no,
all
it
over
doesn't. Don't get me wrong. I am the PC Master Race nerd of this show. I will gladly admit that. I have no problem stepping up to the plate for that. But I don't even know what the point is I'm trying to make is. I'm always amazed at Nintendo's ability to somehow manage to upgrade their hardware without upgrading a CPU or a GPU in almost every hardware revision that they put out. Mm-hmm. The new 3DS.
But you tell me every week, you sit here and tell me you love your OLED.
I love.
You say that every week.
And that was the point I was about to make, is that I love my OLED, and right now I love the games that I'm playing on it.
Yeah, but so we don't need it right now.
No, okay, here's my thing on this argument. My thing is, I get Switch wants third-party support and all that, but I think it's stupid to put third-party games that clearly can't run on the Switch, and they keep doing it. And I'm like, who's actually buying this? How the hell do you have all the Kingdom Hearts game on the Switch, but yet they can't run? That makes no sense.
That was laziness on Square Enix's part. That was them choosing to not put the resources.
But that's far from the only game, though, that does that.
I think that's the thing that really grinds my gears, is it's the fact that everyone knows that Apex Legends runs at 15 frames a second on the Switch, and yet we continue to allow them to do it. We continue to be there are people, and I think it's I feel bad for the people that this is the only console that they have, where they're oh, I only have a Switch, I'm going to play Overwatch on that. Oh, it runs like garbage, but I can't do anything about it. That sucks.
I'm sorry. I think that people that only have a Switch don't care.
They
don't care. They're oh, sweet. Fall Guys is on Switch. The menu runs at 5 FPS. Whatever. It's free and it's all I have.
Sure.
That's not you, who has everything, who has the crisp white PS5 and everything else in your gaming cabinet. You're not that audience. So if you like the games you're playing on Switch, and the mass audience that only has a Switch doesn't know any better because it's all they have, I don't see the problem here.
I see the problem. I'm saying, remember that discussion we had about 1-2 Switch sequel or whatever, and Nintendo's this is so bad, it's gonna hurt our reputation. But games being damn near unplayable on your system doesn't hurt your reputation,
right?
What is unplayable? I'm sorry, I need examples.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
It is not unplayable. I played that game for 90 hours. It's not
Kingdom Hearts, Doom.
Sorry, what first-party Nintendo in-house developed game is unplayable?
Apparently Xenoblade.
It's not unplayable. There's a difference between frame hiccups, resolution quality, and unplayable. There's a big difference between those two worlds.
The point I am trying to make is that in the year 2022, of our Lord Shigeru Miyamoto,
Yeah.
we should at least be able to hit 30 FPS in whatever it is that we're playing. At least. That can't be said about many of the third-party titles on the Nintendo Switch.
So don't play them there. I'm sorry.
And I don't.
I mean, I agree with you, but my point is, why even put them there in the first place?
For the people that only have the Switch, and we are not those people. So I guess to me, we're whining about nothing.
Yeah.
Because the people who just have a Switch are happy with their Switch, and if they really want to play these games at a higher quality, then maybe next time around, if they have the money, consoles are expensive, they invest in something else. Or it's us who are lucky enough to have everything, and we can ignore the Switch versions. You say Apex runs like garbage. Yeah, Apex is free to play, and it's on everything. So it doesn't affect us.
That's fair. Some people still bootleg movies, even though, it's not that hard to acquire a good quality stream nowadays. But hey, I guess.
So I agree with you, Chris. I agree. You should hit 30 FPS should be the bare minimum that you should be able to hit. And for the most part, Nintendo's first-party titles that you can only play on Switch do that. There are exceptions, but for the most part, the really important Switch games that you can't play on other hardware does that.
Yes.
So I think it's fine. I think the Switch can hang on for another year and a half.
Yeah. No, that's not... the people that are crying about the Switch Pro are the people that are crying about the same things that I'm crying about. It's because they have those direct comparisons where they're looking at their next-gen consoles and they're like, oh my god, it's not able to do this thing. It's like, of course it's not. It's running a mobile chip from 2017. Get off my back.
Yeah.
Before we go on to the next topic, I was going to ask you this, but I'm just going to make a bold statement here. It's not even a question. It's just going to be a fact. As of right now, I bet y'all each $5 that the Splatoon 3 Switch, which I think looks immaculate, will be better than the actual game. That's all.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. Damn. I will say, after seeing this come out, it was the first time in probably 2 years where I was like, man, maybe I need to start playing Splatoon 2 again. And just see what, because I don't know what it looks like on the OLED.
Sure it looks awesome.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. It is so much fun.
I'm sure.
I'll hop in. Well, let's get Splatoon going. We'll be on Discord. We'll be sitting in the lobby for 8 minutes. Like, why can't you join my game?
And then we can be on different teams.
Have a great time. Yeah. No, I feel like I'm beating the same drum every single week so far I've done this show. We need the Splatoon 3 Direct. We need it in August, like a month before this game comes out. We need to see what's the single-player campaign like? What are the new multiplayer features that are going to make it easier for us to play together? I want to know about Amiibo, because Splatoon 1 and 2 both got lines of Amiibo. Sure, that this one will. I'm sure they'll plug this Switch OLED. They're going to have more than enough to fill a 20 to 30-minute presentation on this game alone. Need it. We need it soon. After July, after Live Alive and Xenoblade are out, I'm hoping first week of August we get that. That's Splatoon 3 Direct. It's still a mystery. It's still a mystery.
They're gonna announce the new Splatoon esport. That's gonna be the big news. Watch
the battle royale or like an esport league,
like an esport league. I bet they're gonna do that.
That'd be so weird.
That always goes over well whenever they try and support esports. People always yell at them. Okay, let's move on. Tired of Switch Pro. Let's go on to something that is real and out now, and that is Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, a third-party game that runs pretty well on the Nintendo Switch. This is a major expansion to Monster Hunter Rise, which launched last March, and I am here to tell you that you should be playing this game. You should be playing Monster Hunter Rise on Switch, or if you can't handle 30 FPS with occasional frame dips, it's also on PC. Sunbreak's out on PC as well, Chris, so you could grab it there. Watch the video version to watch Chris mock me as I'm mocking him. But this game is really fantastic. It came out a week ago today, and I played it for 20 hours. I put a ton of time into this game with my buddy Zach. He's my Monster Hunter friend, and it's just really great. We had some problems with the base Monster Hunter Rise. There was kind of a lack of content at launch. The difficulty was pretty low, so there was no kind of motivating factor for you to grind for these monster parts that you need to kind of upgrade your kit. So we kind of fizzled out fast. I say fast, we still played it for 80 hours, but in the world of Monster Hunter, that's not that much. This game fixes virtually every problem we had with the base Monster Hunter Rise. The monster roster is incredible. The returning monsters, the new variations on existing monsters, and then the brand new monsters are great. They added 2 new areas. I think they're my favorite areas in the game, and one of them is my favorite area in any Monster Hunter I've ever played. It's called the Citadel. It's like super like gothic Castlevania vibes, crumbled ruins of these old ancient castles. You like can dive down this well, run around. There's a bunch of materials down there. Very Elden Ring-like, actually, when you fall down into this well. So that's super cool. A ton of new gameplay additions, too. Basically, you can equip an entirely different moveset for your character that you can switch between at the press of the button. So you can have 2 different playstyles with the same weapon going on at one time. So there's just so much in this game. It is the best Monster Hunter has been in a while since I wasn't so big on base Rise. And it is just, it's one of the best games on Switch right now. So I highly recommend. Now is the time to jump into Monster Hunter. People always ask, oh, is this a good one to start with? Yes. Monster Hunter Rise is now a great place to start the series.
Well, all right, because if you remember, we still have our bet. I have to play this game. I have not forgotten. Next paycheck, I've already allotted the money. I will buy this game. I will start my Monster Hunter career. And it's probably going to be the thing that's going to hold me off until, Pokemon comes out. And I will, I'm going to play this as much as I can before Klonoa, Digimon Survive, and Live Alive comes out. And then if it's really as great as you say, the second I'm done with those games, because those games are all kind of like, you play it and you're done. This will be what will hold me off until November.
Does this game have cross-play between Switch and PC?
It does not.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate.
That is unfortunate.
It does not have cross-play nor cross-progression. So it came out on PC 8 months after it launched on Switch. And if you poured in dozens of hours on Switch and wanted to migrate to PC, you had to start all over, which is a shame. I know a lot of people that did it. I know a lot of people that just stuck with Switch because that is a disappointing limitation. But one thing that is in Sunbreak, I told you that I don't like base Monster Hunter Rise a ton. There's this new gear. It's called the Defender Armor. It makes you super strong and really high defense. And basically it allows you to plow through the base game of Rise to get to Sunbreak's new content faster than you would have been able to a year ago when Rise came out. So Sunbreak is where the real meat on the bones is of Monster Hunter Rise, and it is easier to get there now with the new Defender Armor that they added into Sunbreak. So yeah, it's a great time to pick it up. There's a bundle of the game that includes both versions. I'm super glad Monster Hunter is a global hit now because this game is just so much content, such high quality, so many worthwhile things to do. If you're looking for a game that you think about constantly, that you will sink hundreds of hours into your life to, if you need one of those, this is a great place to look.
I need one of those. Because I was thinking to myself the other day, my friend was asking me, he's like, man, you just been playing a lot of video games lately, but you just been playing a lot of 64 games. I was like, man, I have. I need something
modern.
It's something in the last 12 to 24 months to get my itch. I'm not playing Elden Ring because, dear God, I need to sell that game.
I love that game. I'm just bad at it.
I am tempted to pick this up because I do know so many people that are into it, and I've never played, any of the games in this franchise. But man, that big old sale that they just had on the Switch, I bought like 10 games in that sale. Yeah. It's hard to justify.
Yeah, it is a great game though. If you want to jump in, easily the most approachable monster has ever been. Yeah, absolutely. Even more so than Worlds, which is the one that really set the world on fire. Pun not intended. With its sales and its reception, like this game is even easier to get into than that one, and it's super fun on Switch. Has a few frame rate issues, specifically in the hub world, like the quest hub where you are equipping your gear, getting your items. Yeah, it's a really weird place for it to happen. Like I don't know why that's
gonna happen at any place. I'd rather it be the place where no action is taking place.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and there's only a few super ultra mega screen consuming moves against some of the monsters that really make it chug a little bit, but otherwise it does run very smoothly on Switch. I can't believe it's a Switch game. Monster Hunter Rise is a game where I'm like, I cannot believe how detailed it is for running on Switch. It just looks great. So
nice.
Yeah, I love it. It's kind of hard to count like an expansion like this, but it's my front runner for Game of the Year right now. I'm absolutely in love with it. I'm thinking about it all the time. I went away briefly this past weekend on an overnight trip. Didn't have my Switch with me. Was thinking about my gear build the entire time. I was like taking notes. I'm like, oh, I got to hunt this and this to get this part. And I was like super excited when I got back home to jump back into it. Negative side of this, though, is the amiibo situation. So 3 amiibo supposedly launched alongside Sunbreak last week. There's a Malzeno amiibo, a Palico amiibo, and a Palamute amiibo are their names. A monster, a cat, and a dog, basically. And they are nowhere. They are nowhere to be found. And there is no communication about when they're going to show up anywhere. This was kind of a problem with the Rise amiibo, but you could eventually find those. But so far, the only way people have been able to get the Malzeno amiibo is through the Sunbreak Special Edition, which is $100. It's like, I'm not dropping $100 to get this $25 amiibo that should be on store shelves. And it's just a frustrating ongoing problem. We're in 2022, and Nintendo still has these communication issues with its stock. We didn't talk about this in our show last week, but once again, the Xenoblade 3 Special Edition sale was a mess the second time around. It was just as bad the first time. Now you have these amiibo that are already going double MSRP on eBay, secondhand, with no word of when they're going to be available. They're also on like Play Asia for like $70, but that's like a 300% markup. And now you have this Splatoon OLED. Is that going to be impossible to find? Like, it's just so frustrating to me, guys, how bad they are at communicating these cool products they're making that nobody can buy.
I mean, I don't. It's like I understand and I do, and I'm not trying to say COVID didn't cause problems, but we're getting past the free COVID excuse pass. And the crazy thing I find about this is like it'd be different, like if they didn't ship a lot and people just bought them up and they're reselling them. But the fact that they just don't exist, like they never made it to stores, just baffles me. Like I'm like, how does that happen?
Yeah, it's pretty rare for that to happen anymore.
Yeah, like are they just all at a warehouse somewhere, just sitting there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
were you going to say something, Chris?
No, I mean, I didn't even think about that. Like, it's pretty rare anymore that you would have a product that, like, for anything video game related, that would be announced, have a release date, the date comes, and it's just like, nope, sorry, it's nowhere.
It doesn't even have a listing on Best Buy. Like, it's the first amiibo I've ever seen that does not even exist on Best Buy's website.
Are they selling it in the U.S.? Like, is it a Japan exclusive?
There were like the certificates. What's it called? The CPSIA, the Child Protection. I don't remember that the certificate you have to get when a product is designed with children in mind.
Yes,
I forget what it's called.
And it's like this is approved to be around them.
When amiibo are getting restocked.
Yeah,
they have them for the U.S. These 3 figures have them. Have those certifications for the U.S.
Wow.
And they were in every North American Sunbreak presentation. They talked about these amiibo at the end. They're like, don't forget, special edition and amiibo coming out the same day worldwide. So they were advertised to us. It wasn't like this thing that we just knew about through the Japan Twitter, the Japan live streams. This was something in the North American presentations that now has just been silence. And it's not even the fact that they're hard to find. It's the fact that there's no communication. God of War Ragnarok, release date was announced today. What was part of the blog post? You can buy the special edition on this day at this time, which is the problem with the Xenoblade. They're like, log in on July 3rd to block in your order. And it's like, when? Oh, 6:32 a.m. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be better than this.
Well, see, guys, I think there's a real obvious answer here that we're not looking at. I think we're failing to discuss the real issue is, so they're announcing these things, right? And then the release date comes, and then it's not here. It's because when they made these videos and stuff, they were all expecting that the Switch 2 was already out, and it's not. So they had to show
I'm not allowed to comment. I made a pledge to myself.
So you see, the real thing is here. Since the Switch 2 is always supposed to be out, these products come out, and they can't release them because they're not going to work with the old hardware. Switch Pro confirmed.
Okay, we'll chug right along past that and get to one of our last main stories for today's show, which is Nintendo saying it's difficult to make all the sequels that fans ask for. Sorry, but like, duh. Before we get into this, like, yeah, obviously. This was like one of those stories that to me is kind of a non-story, but this came out of the recent shareholders meeting and was floating around all the outlets. This translation specifically comes from IGN's translation, where Shuntaro Furukawa said, "In truth, it's difficult to fulfill all the requests we receive for new titles, remakes, or sequels in Nintendo series. That said, we're grateful to our fans and their patience in these matters." Then Shinya Takahashi also went on to say that they always take a broad perspective, looking at ways to make new and remake titles enjoyable for as many people as possible. And they used an example from 2019, saying where someone asked if they were making the Famicom Detective Club series, which they did end up remaking when they were asked about that. But also, this person who asked apparently spent like $40,000 on Nintendo shares to go up and ask this question about F-Zero. Yep. Is the other element of this story.
Baller.
Yeah. How about that? What's it going to do? Probably not much.
Probably nothing.
Respect to that person, but they really fumbled here. So as a shareholder, you get to ask questions, but you also get to make demands. I would have been like, I'm not asking as a fan, as a shareholder, I'm demanding that you start working on the next F-Zero. That's what I would have did. I would have got like, let's say I don't know what the demand limit is, but say I got $100,000 worth of shares and be like, this is not a question. This is as a shareholder, as a part owner of this company. This is what I want. I mean, if I'm spending that much money, I might as well demand games I want. I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
I don't know Nintendo's structure. I mean, they're a Japanese company, so I don't know if that. But as far as I know, in the way it works in America, when you're a stockholder, you get to make demands of some sort. And no, people, I'm not talking about you with your 2 shares of Apple. You don't get to make demands. But this guy spent $40K, so.
Which in the grand scheme of things is not a ton. It is not a ton for a shareholder in a multi-billion-dollar company. But yeah, still asking about F-Zero. Guys, it's time for a new F-Zero. I've been saying it. Chris, you weren't here last week, but we were talking about how you look at something like Mario plus Rabbids. Nintendo will partner with Ubisoft and give them their most valuable character to make a strategy game, like an XCOM, yet we can't get them to partner with anyone else on virtually any other series besides like the Warriors games or Cadence of Hyrule. And it is frustrating that they have a lot of these valuable, recognizable sitting on the table that surely developers out there would love to work on. They don't even have to tackle themselves, and they're just not doing it.
Well, I think what's more unfortunate is like the problem's only getting worse, right? Like this problem only gets worse as time goes on. Like the GameCube generation is just getting older, and you're getting a greater divide between people that like, oh yeah, I grew up with this franchise, and people who are like, oh yeah, my dad grew up with this franchise. Like we're getting to a point where if some of these games don't come back, they may not. I mean, you could almost say that about, or you could have almost said that about Metroid a year ago, prior to Dread, but it's just crazy to think that, at some point they could potentially cut their losses and be like, there isn't another Star Fox, get over it. There isn't another F-Zero, get over it. Because we've never seen that in Nintendo really outside of like Balloon Fight.
And the thing that really bothers me about this situation is because obviously not every franchise can continue forever. Like, Naughty Dog at some point went, forget our mascots. We're all about gritty storytelling. And I mean, That's fine. We're allowed to do that. But the thing is with Nintendo, it's like there are too many IPs left on the shelf. If it was just like, man, we haven't seen another F-Zero game and we haven't seen another Metroid game, but we've seen the Donkey Kongs, we've seen the Star Foxes, we've seen the Wario's, the Kirby's, that'll be different. But it's like we're basically down to what, 3 franchises: Mario, Zelda, and kind of Metroid, or Pokemon, or kind of Donkey Kong.
That far.
I feel like Pokemon's
not to say we're down to 3 franchises.
We're not down to 3 franchises. No, but I get what Odell's saying. Like it. You can look at any calendar in the Switch life cycle, and it's like, okay, there's the Mario game, there's the Zelda game. Like, you can't do that with many of their franchises at this point.
Yes, those are certainly the 3 pillars. Yeah. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. I remember a quote, I feel like it was back in 2016, so just before the Switch came out, where Furukawa basically said, we want a Mario product, a Zelda product, and a Pokemon product every year. Yeah. And they've basically hit that. the entire Switch life cycle. We have had those 3 core pillars every year. And then you look at something like Splatoon and Animal Crossing, I think are the other 2 you'd throw in with those 3 of like the 5 core franchises Nintendo cares about the most right now.
Yeah.
Are those 5. And then beyond that, it's like Fire Emblem's huge. Fire Emblem gets a ton of support now. And then it just continues to trickle down. Maybe these other series get 1 game per hardware cycle. And then others you just never know about. I don't know if we ever will see Star Fox again. I don't know if I need to see F-Zero again, and don't know if we ever will. Kid Icarus Uprising, outstanding game that needs a sequel. Would be great. Would be great on Switch, but I still love what they're making. But I was looking at my Switch shelf just yesterday, and like a third of it has Mario in the title.
Yep.
That's so much. Most of them are good to amazing games. There's a few duds in there, like Super Rush. I'm not huge on Origami King. It's fine. And there's a couple that are middling. I don't like Yoshi's Crafted World very much. But most of them are still outstanding games. Mario Kart, the latest Mario Party, Odyssey, 3D World. I love these games and will continue to play Mario games. But I feel like the Nintendo fan base right now is at the point where they would eat up some of these classic franchises coming back.
Oh, bro, easily. Like the thing is, they wouldn't even have to be super amazing. They would just have to be good. Like, and to me, good means like, passable. It didn't push the envelope. It was just more of the same, for lack of a better term. But sometimes that's okay, especially when, we haven't had a Donkey Kong platformer and, over 5 years. We haven't had any of these other franchises in well over a decade. And I look at Pokemon, I'm like, just do that because, Pokemon is technically a property of the Pokemon Company and Game Freak. They do that, Nintendo slaps their name on it, but that's what they're doing. So I'm like, similar with Metroid is not more of a retro game than Nintendo, but that's okay. Like, give these trusted whoever, like you said earlier, Logan, and like have it be their baby. It's still going to be Nintendo, but their DNA is super intertwined with this other studio, and they're just going to take care of it. And, you just fund the project.
I'm not huge on the acquisition frenzy that's been happening this year. I think there are some instances where it makes sense. For example, Nintendo should scoop up Mercury Steam and just make them the 2D Metroid studio. They should just be that, because I know Samus Returns was not great, but Dread was. Dread was really great, and I would love to see what they do next. But now they've already announced they're working on something else, not Nintendo related. Like, okay, does that push the next Metroid back a couple years? Because the studio that Nintendo is now entrusting to take care of that series is working on another contract. Like, I just want to see more things like that from them rather than just Mario every year, and then we'll surround it with a couple of things, and if you're lucky, it'll be the thing you've been waiting.
I mean, HAL Laboratories did a great job with Kirby, so I'm like, yeah, give up the reins, Nintendo.
And that's like, Kirby's a good example. Like, I just think it's so weird that we're so far removed from some of these franchises that, like, you wouldn't even have to change. You wouldn't have to iterate that much. Like, you can make it just a little bit different or have like a little bit of a new, fresh idea. Or even use that same franchise in a different way that maybe it hasn't been used in before. And people could still be excited about it just because it's like, it's a return to the characters, right? Like the world of that property. But it is a new take on it. Like Kirby Forgotten Land, we've never seen a Kirby game like that before. And I think the majority of people that played it, it was super well received. Not saying that you need to have a F-Zero game that like has to be racing, but I mean, like you said, on the show before, Logan, like the F-Zero Yakuza game, like that would be a really cool.
So bad.
Like that'd be a really cool idea. And it's different enough that fans of that, both old fans of that franchise and newcomers who are like, well, it's completely different. Like, what do I have to lose? That I feel like you have a better shot with that, at least for things that have been so dormant for so long.
Yeah. Which actually, let's bridge into the question we asked last week. We read one listener response that we got last week talking about a Waluigi Noir game from the Ace Attorney team, which I'm all about. But we need Chris's answer to this question, where we asked you can pair one Nintendo franchise and one third-party developer to make a brand new Switch game. What's your pitch, Chris?
I would like Grezzo to make a new Earthbound game or a remake of Earthbound in a modernized way in the Link's Awakening art style for the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, this isn't an original idea. But if you're not familiar with it, you should absolutely check it out. There's a video on YouTube called "Welcome to the World of Mother 3." It is by the channel's hosted is Curiomatic. They made this animated trailer. It's basically like a love letter to Mother 3 fans and Earthbound fans. And it's essentially that. It is Link's Awakening, or it is Earthbound in the Link's Awakening art style. And it was the first time since probably the Link's Awakening trailer or maybe Metroid Dread where I was like, man, I'd give anything to play this right now. It makes so much sense, and Earthbound's been gone for so long, and I think it would be such a good way to make that game look approachable to people that are only familiar with NES, via the Smash Brothers series. I would absolutely love to play that game.
Yeah, Earthbound is great, and it is a hard game. It is a very hard game. So just adding more save points or difficulty options or something along those lines, and I think that game would hold up pretty dang well.
Yeah,
with those changes. So I'm totally on board with that. Earthbound is another one that I feel like is just lost to time. They'll throw it on Switch Online and you'll be able to play it that way, but I don't know if I ever see them returning to that as badly as I want them to.
Xeon from Nintendo Life is one of the biggest Earthbound fans I've ever seen on the internet, but there was a while where they had an Earthbound watch and comics that they were putting out, and all this new merchandise that they hadn't put out they never put out Earthbound merchandise as far as I'm aware prior to that. And there was this celebration that had been happening over the last 2 or 3 years of that franchise, and I think everybody kind of expected out of that we were going to get something, and it was just nope, it's just Earthbound on Switch, similar to what you got on the Wii U. It's just now more people have it. It's a shame because I think it's a very rich world, and to leave it untouched like that it's unfortunate.
The thing is, because I think about, clearly they can't make everything and they can't bring everything to the forefront or out of the darkness, so to speak. But I'm just saying, from a business perspective, you have to be aware what people are clamoring for the most. Yes, people want everything, but similar to the Smash poll, Sakurai saw everybody wanted Sora, so therefore we're going to put Sora in. This is what the people want, the vast majority. And I feel I don't understand why Nintendo as a whole doesn't do that. Clearly everybody can't be in Smash, but we will give the people at least the one thing they want the most. That
the vast majority doesn't want Earthbound remake.
That's
the vocal minority.
The vocal minority does. Yeah.
No. I'm just saying in general, not Earthbound specifically, but just with any of their franchises. Take any dormant franchise, and then pick the one that people want the most. But the point is, they all get shunned equally.
I do agree with you, and I did just think of a different thing. Sorry to change the topic on you a little bit, but it is weird being in the position that we're in, where I feel like the three of us and most of the people that we communicate with on Twitter and people that watch the show probably are so locked in to everything that's happening within Nintendo and other video game development studios and all that, to the point where if you were to ask me, what do you think, Joe Schmo on the street, what does he want out of Nintendo? I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. I have no idea what the average person wants from them. What's on the Switch at this point that isn't already there?
I feel like the average Switch, but it's not there.
Yeah.
Man.
You have a Mario Kart. You have the biggest Smash ever. You have a Mario, a Zelda.
I'll give you that. The average person is just gonna say Mario. Like they're just gonna be like, yeah, there's Mario and Zelda. What else is there? That's
all you need to do is look at the top 10 sellers. All you need to do is look at Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, 2D Mario, Pokemon, Zelda. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what people want. That's what they give them. So Odell, you say, why doesn't Nintendo listen to the majority? They do.
Yeah.
They do listen to the majority, and they make more Mario games. Which, for hardcore fans like us, I will never complain about a Mario game. Mario games are outstanding, but we beg and plead for Metroid for what feels like an eternity. We finally get it. It's awesome. And it sells 3 million copies, which is fine. It didn't blow the doors off anything. It's a fine number, but it did not break into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Like the mainstream probably was like, I don't know what that is. I'm just going to grab Mario Party Superstars, which launched around the same time and blew it out of the water sales-wise.
Yeah.
Mario Party versus
that hurts. That hurts a little bit, no lie.
But Mario Party's great. The new Mario Party's awesome, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
It is pretty good. Needs more boards, but wait, I honestly feel like it's only so good because we compare it to what came out before, which was just so subpar.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've had really bad Mario games for a while, like over a decade.
Yeah, like some of the spinoffs you're thinking, like Ultra Smash, the Mario Parties on the Wii U and 3DS, like games like that.
Even like my wife has an affinity for Mario Party 8. I don't really care for that game that much. I don't care for 9, 10.
Nope.
The 3DS like minigame collection, which like it's just a minigame collection. Super Mario Party, I didn't care for.
It was a step in the right direction, but now looking back, now that we have, I'm like, I'm never playing that again.
Yeah,
I'm never picking that game up again.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about Superstars? It's like not even a real new Mario Party game. It's just a remake of older boards. When it's like, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, this is technically not a new Mario Party.
No, it's just it's a refinement and collaboration of everything that already came out.
Yeah, which is good. Maybe now they can make a new one that's as good as that one is, but with new boards. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to cut it off here. That's going to do it. Another episode of the Toadstool Boardroom in the books. You can find the show on Twitter at ToadstoolBR. Email us, toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. You can find Odell on Twitter at
Odell Harmon Jr.
You can read all of my ideas on Chris's Twitter at
Shrives93.
And you can find me where I don't post as much as I should of my original.
See, I'm tweeting for you. I'm tweeting for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Chris and I are actually good. We're not actually feuding, but it's all.
Logan is like, there aren't many people in my life that I come across that I'm just like, man, I just love to push his buttons. Like, I love coming at Logan Plant so hard. I don't know why. Just it brings me so much joy because you dish it right back. Yeah, you dish it back.
Yeah.
It's so good.
All right. Thanks so much for listening. Send in your feedback. Anything else? You like the show? You hate the show? Let us know. ToadstoolBoardroom@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you next week right here in the boardroom.
Peace.